April, there was nonsense. Yeah. After April, there was nonsense. Second, they didn't tell me the process I'm going to go through will be between 4 and 6 weeks, and I couldn't stay in Israel for that long. So that's what it was. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're going to have an opportunity in April. I hope so. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tikvanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Thank you, Faye. Great job. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi.
Okay, let's turn to the people sitting around us. Wish each other Shabbat shalom. Be nice and friendly. Try to say hi to somebody that you don't know. If that means getting up and moving around so that you might do that, I invite you to do so. Please introduce yourselves to somebody that you don't know. You may have to get up and move around a little bit to do that. I don't see any moving. Let's see if we... but there are people here that you don't. I have a feeling. All right. Okay, good. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We're going to start on page 12 this evening. We'll sing Psalm 95.
And then we'll quickly go to Psalm 96. Lecho neranena l'Adonai naria letzor yishenu. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai barechu shemo, asru miyom liyom yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai umchulal meyor, norahu al kol Elohim. Ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa. Hod v'chadar lefanav, oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho. Ismechu hashamayim, ismechu hashamayim, ismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Ismechu hashamayim, ismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, ismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo. Ya'alo sara v'chol asher bo, az yaranenu kol hatzeyar. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz. Yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'yamim be'emunato.
Page 15, at the top of the page together. Adonai is sovereign. Let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God. Righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. O you who love Adonai, hate evil. God guards the lives of God's loyal ones, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name.
Mizmor shir l'Adonai shir chadash, ki neflahot asa. Hoshia lo yeminu zruah kodsho. Hariu l'Adonai kol haaretz bitzchu ranenu tzadikim. Page 16. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzatzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu לפני המלך אדוני, ירם hayam umlo, tevel ויושבבה, נהרות וכוכב, יחד הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלוא, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות עמך וכף, יחד הרים ירננו.
Page 18.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז אלי, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, תשתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, כל אדוני על המים אל הכבוד הרים, אדוני על מים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח אלי, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון, וסיריון כמו בין רמים, אלי, כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, כל אדוני יכין מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יחלל עיינות, ויחשוף יראות, ובהיכולו כולו אומר כבוד, אלי, אדוני למה בו ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
Page 20. Lecha Dodi. We greet Shabbat.
Lecha Dodi likra kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולי תהילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה
Page 22 at the bottom. The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong.
Page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Seitchem l'shalom,
Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Please close your books
And shut off your motorcycles.
and shut off your motorcycles. My daughter and son are sitting in my office now because they did not want to listen to my sermon. Also because they were worried about getting mosquito bites. But it is beautiful out tonight, and I hope you're enjoying it. I'd like to begin tonight in Germany, in the early part of the 19th century. In the city of Hamburg, a group of liberal-minded Jews calling themselves reformers introduced a variety of changes to the traditional synagogue liturgy and practice. These changes included reciting some of the prayers in German rather than in Hebrew, altering the traditional service by modifying or shortening certain prayers, God forbid it should be shortened, and also playing the organ on Shabbat. Yeah, the organ was like the guitar in those days. Everyone loved the organ. It was the instrument of the times, and they started playing the organ in the synagogue. Now, had this group been viewed just as a small band of weirdos, the practices in their little temple probably wouldn't have received much attention. But in fact, their reforms started to gain some traction among a not insignificant number of German Jews. Enough traction that the traditional rabbinical establishment became concerned about it. Actually, concerned is an understatement. They were alarmed. They saw this fledgling reform movement as a major threat to their way of life and to Judaism as they understood it. They said that the reformers were evil. They called them apostates, heretics, destroyers of the faith. They wanted to shut this new movement down, and fast. So Germany's traditionalist rabbinic establishment, decided to marshal some of Europe's leading Orthodox rabbis to join them in their crusade against reform. Together, these luminaries of the European rabbinate published a series of essays and responsa attacking the reformers and condemning their practices as unacceptable and un-Jewish. Though Germany was the initial battleground between the traditionalists and the reformers, the rabbi who quickly emerged as the most prominent and most zealous opponent of reform lived not in Germany but in Hungary. His name was Rabbi Moses Sofer. He's better known by his rabbinic moniker, Khatam Sofer. Now, Khatam Sofer was then and is still today regarded as a Torah genius. Certainly the most important traditionalist figure of his era. And he remains deeply influential today, 200 years after his death. He is widely regarded as the father of what today is known as Haredi, or ultra-Orthodox Judaism. Khatam Sofer expressed his philosophy with a motto he borrowed from the Mishnah and repurposed for his fight against reform. His motto was Chadash Asur Min HaTorah. It means innovation is forbidden by the Torah. On this basis, Khatam Sofer condemned the reformers' changes as, in the words of historian Michael Meyer, beyond the pale of Judaism. But he didn't stop there. He also sought to stigmatize the reformers themselves by casting them as so different and so threatening that no self-respecting kosher Jew would want to go anywhere near them. To illustrate this strategy, my teacher and mentor, Rabbi David Ellenson, who is a scholar of the period, points to an extraordinary passage from one of Khatam Sofer's responsa. Hatam Sofer wrote this about Reform Jews. He said, "Our daughters should not be given to their sons, nor their sons to our daughters. Their community is like the community of the Sadducees and the Boethusians, the Karaites and the Christians. They to theirs, and we to ours. And if they were subject to our jurisdiction, my view would be to push them beyond the boundaries of our community. They to theirs, and we to ours. No intermarriage between Orthodox Jews and Reformers." Now, Hatam Sofer had no power over the Reformers, of course, but if he had had his druthers, he said he would kick them out of the Jewish community altogether. Does this make Hatam Sofer a bad guy? I don't know. He is deeply respected, revered even, still to this day in many quarters of the Jewish world. Even Reform scholars and rabbis are known to quote his teachings admiringly. His commentaries and other writings on the Torah are, after all, quite brilliant and rich. But whether Hatam Sofer was a bad guy or not, he was certainly what we might call illiberal. Hatam Sofer would not have used that term to describe himself, nor would the reformers of his time have used that word either. Illiberal is a modern term, first suggested by the political analyst Fareed Zakaria and developed by contemporary political scientists. Professor Marlene Laurel, who is the director of illiberalism studies at George Washington University, there's a whole department about it, defines illiberalism this way. She says, "It proposes solutions that are majoritarian, nation-centric, favoring traditional hierarchies and cultural homogeneity." And this is exactly how Hatam Sofer responded to the Reform movement, by circling the wagons and raising the defenses against what he perceived to be an existential threat. His goal was to preserve the religious, ideological, and cultural purity of the traditional Jewish community. And if that meant making the tent smaller, well, so be it. If that meant banning interaction and intermarriage with Jews who believed and practiced differently, rather than tolerating them, fine. That's what the urgency of the moment demanded, in his view. Not every Orthodox rabbi responded to the social and cultural changes in Europe this way. In fact, some of them, in Ellenson's words, took steps to accommodate change and keep people inside the tent when they could. But for Hatam Sofer and others like him, the answer was illiberalism. I bring all this up because I have been reading in the news this week about another Hungarian illiberal, the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban. Maybe you have heard of this guy. You read some of the stuff. He was in Dallas earlier this week, speaking at a political conference. Now, I mentioned earlier that Hatam Sofer would not have called himself an illiberal because the term didn't exist yet. But Prime Minister Orban does describe himself that way, actually. In a widely noted speech in 2014, Orban said, "The Hungarian nation is not a simple sum of individuals, but a community that needs to be organized, strengthened, and developed. And in this sense, the new state that we are building is an illiberal state, a non-liberal state. It does not deny foundational values of liberalism, such as freedom, etc., but it does not make this ideology a central element of state organization, but applies a specific national particular approach in its stead." Following Professor Laurel's definition of illiberalism, Orban seems to mean that while individual freedom is important, the interests of the political and cultural majority are more important. And if that's the case, certain steps may need to be taken in order to assert those majority interests over against the interests of the individual and of minorities. Now, this philosophy of illiberalism contrasts with what in political science is known as classical liberalism, which is the guiding philosophy of the United States. Regardless of the way we use the term liberal or conservative, classical liberalism is the political philosophy undergirding our country. In short, it's the idea that one person's freedom ends where another person's freedom begins. Meaning every citizen has the right to pursue their own vision of the good, so long as doing so doesn't infringe on the same right of others to pursue their own vision of the good. And in political systems, it's the role of government to protect that right for everyone. Reform Judaism is a liberal movement in religion in that sense. We say that everybody has the right to practice their own way and to believe their own way, so long as it doesn't intrude on the rights of others to do the same, and that we are all still in the same community, even though we might believe differently. Now, this Prime Minister Orban seems to have a different vision for Hungary, which is expressed in comments like the one he made a few weeks ago, you probably read it, about his self-described anti-immigration policy. Focusing specifically on Muslim immigration into Europe, he said, "We are willing to mix with one another, but we do not want to become peoples of mixed race." Orban then clarified his statement in response to backlash against what he'd first said, and he said this: "I am the only politician in the EU who stands for an openly anti-immigration policy. This is not a race issue for us. This is a cultural issue." So, however he defines it, this is illiberalism. And while I hate to compare the Khatam Sofer with Viktor Orban, it's clear that their strategies for preserving their respective communities against perceived threats are really not dissimilar. So why should we care about this Hungarian politician's political philosophy and his dumb remarks anyway? Well, because just like the Jewish illiberalism coming out of Hungary in the early 19th century sought to squelch the freedom of our Reform forebears to believe and practice their religion as they saw fit, I am concerned that the political illiberalism coming out of Hungary now also proposes to suppress our freedoms here in America. Not because this guy is trying to conquer the United States or anything, but because a not insignificant political movement in our country is embracing him and suggesting, not all too subtly, that we in America should emulate his approach. And that worries me. Because when governments pursue illiberalism, it is very rarely, if ever, good for Jews. The Anti-Defamation League has already put out a warning to the American Jewish community about Orban for his praise of Hungary's puppet ruler during the Nazi period. In fact, one of Orban's own advisors resigned from his team following the mixed race remark, calling it, quote, "a pure Nazi speech worthy of Goebbels," and expressing concern about what she described as Orban's illiberal turn. With its emphasis on preserving majority culture and national purity, Orban's illiberalism threatens the Jews in Hungary, and I don't know, maybe here if we start to follow his ways. It's sad and scary to me that this man is being welcomed and celebrated in America today, but he is. This week's parasha, Va'et-Hanan, includes the words that we all know, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. While every community surely has certain features that make it special and unique and give it its own identity, our understanding of the Shema is that ultimately God's oneness transcends all human differences. God is inclusive of everyone and loves everyone because everybody's created in God's image. As the 20th century Jewish French writer Edmund Flegg put it, I am a Jew because above humanity, image of the divine unity, Israel places the unity which is divine. And that's our creed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shabbat Shalom. Please rise. Page 28.
Ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Are you listening to my prayer? Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yada la la la, yada la la la, la 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 la. Page 30. La 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 la.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars and their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravi.
Page 32.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Tukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Ki heim chayenu ve'yorech yameinu ve'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla. V'ahavatcha al הסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim.
אלוהיכם.
Page 39, at the bottom, responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Continue to work for the day when
the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Page 40. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? La 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 מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, עושה פלא, עושה פלא. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי שנאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Page 42.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, ועמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, all wrong from right. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Page 45. I want to invite us to read together this second poem on the page, and I'm doing it in honor of Karen Siegel, who told me that this is one of her favorites. Right, Karen? Let's read together. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day.
Page 44, Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asor et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
Page 46. Please rise.
Adonai svatai tiftach Adonai svatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha ufi yagid tehilatecha Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נובלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עבר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וכרושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Continue in private meditations using the Hebrew, the English, or the words of your heart. Feel free to continue your private meditations at your own pace, or join me for the evening prayer for peace at the bottom of page 62. Oh, say shalom bimromav, oh, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ויבוא ישראל, ויבוא יושבי תבל, ואמרו
We pray now for loved ones, friends, family members, members of our community, people whose names we know and those whose names we don't know, who are struggling with illness and are in need of God's healing and peace and strength. If you're praying for someone this evening and you'd like to share their name, I invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours. I apologize to those of you who are on Zoom. I forgot to bring my iPad out with me this evening, so I can't see the names that you would like to offer, but I invite you to hold them in your hearts. And now as we pray, Misha Berach.
The ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Page 282, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We remember now our loved ones whom death has taken from this world. If you're comfortable and able to do so, I invite you to rise as you hear the name of your loved one read. On this Shabbat, we are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Lois Frankel, Sarah Harmon Koenig, and Lisa Cursius. We recall the yahrzeits of Rosalind Cohen, Henrietta Feinblatt, Gus Galansky, Leah Golden, Edith Grossman, Michael Levine, Martin Lorber, Morris Shancer, Lori Singer, Stanley E. Springer. If you're remembering someone whose name wasn't read and you'd like to share it with us, I invite you to rise and to do so. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Faye. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. We join together now on page 294 and rise for Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
May the one who makes harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. May their memories be for a blessing. We say together,
Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. All right, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yash koach to Cantor Adam and to Shai
Shai.
for the beautiful music this evening, as always. Let's see. I think, Cantor, you want to say something about next weekend?
Next weekend. What's next weekend? Oh, during the week. Right.
Oh.
Right in this very spot where
During
you were
the
sitting.
week.
We are going to be
Yeah.
transforming this rooftop into a rock arena. So come for the Arena Rock Tribute Band. They're going to play all your favorite rock hits from the 90s, the 80s, and maybe even the 70s. So tease out that hair. Tease out that big hair. Wear your favorite concert t-shirts and get ready to rock. It's going to be great. Next Thursday night. And the price includes a barbecue from the Brotherhood. So can't miss that.
All right.
Music, food. Rabbi's going to be here.
It's going to be rocking.
It's going to be rocking.
And hey, the weekend can start on Thursday night anyway, right? Yes. All right. You know, there's a book out there you should get. It's called Thursday is the New Friday. Have you seen that one? Yeah, Thursday is the New Friday.
Does that mean we're just going to start doing Shabbat on Thursday?
Oh. Well, we're going to start with rock and roll on Thursday anyway.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's see what else we have going on. I want to say thank you to Jason, who's managing our Zoom for us. Thank you to Stu and to Joy P. and to everybody in our temple office and team who makes everything that we do possible. And thank you to, let's see, Phil, were you on ushering tonight or no? Arlene is on ushering. Arlene, thank you very much, Arlene. Thank you. Yeah, bring your Sidurim back there. If you want to usher, how does one usher? If Joy P.
Talk to Joy P.
You talk to Joy P. Pretty much if you want to do anything at the temple, you talk to Joy P, right? Okay, so we're going to give some hearty thanks to the Margaloff family for baking our challah, and to our Oneg bakers. Now, if you are here and present when I say your name, I want to invite you to please rise. And we actually do have a new Oneg baker this week, so we'll wait for it to give her thanks. Roberta Lula, Linda Diamond, Sharon Freeman, Debbie Sutton, and our newest baker, Ellen Safian. Woo-hoo! All right. We know that there are many more wonderful bakers who are part of this community who have yet to reveal yourselves. If you would like to do that and be part of it, call, wait for it, Joy P. You just call Joy P and tell her you want to bake, and she will plug you in.
First call the cantor. It's quality control. Okay.
He is
Come
the
over,
official
I
taster.
make sure it's okay.
And Torah study tomorrow morning, 9:15, and Shabbat morning services at 10:30. And I think we're going to do Kiddush.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's see. Arlene, why don't you come? Our usher for the evening. Arlene will come up for Kiddush.
Okay. All right.
Oh, what page is it?
Page 4.
Page 4. Please rise. Yep. At the very beginning of the book, which means we're starting all over again.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava u'v'ratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat lechaim.
Yasher koach, Arlene. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Anyone who's under the age of 18 who's here? Oh, they hightailed it. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. They probably went looking for my kids. All right, well.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. We'll finish on page 322. En Eloheinu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Michadonenu, Michemalkeinu, Michemoshienu, no del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Yalai, Lalai, Lai, 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 Yalai, Lalai, Lai. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
How do you sound? Even better. My friend, how are you? Good to see you.
You know what I like to do? I like to make macaroni with bourbon. It's called a boulevardier. First time I had it, it was life changing.
We can try that. What's going on, Pete? What do you do? What do I do?
Not what did you do? When did you do?
when am I due?
That's funny.
I'm sorry.
Things good? Are you